friends from media, students, ladies and gentlemen. I am extremely happy to be amidst you on this occasion of inaugural function of National Seminar on Role of Police in Protection of Human Rights, organized by University Law College and PG Department of Law, Bangalore, in association with BPRD, Delhi. At the outset, I feel it my duty to congratulate the organizers for selecting a very important topic for the seminar. The theme of the seminar is very apt and subtle. We are at the crossroads now. And the state has to take certain tough decisions, even if not so pleasant to certain sections of the society, apparently. Human rights are a topic that concerns everyone from a commoner to a scholar. The issue becomes complicated when police comes into picture. No time challenged the professionalism in policing as present times. Right under the media watch, without crossing the Lakshman Rekha of human rights, the police is expected to discharge its duties and responsibilities. Human rights have been profound human aspirations, which have been most fervently pursued when people have suffered oppressions from their own rulers. Human history is witness to many instances of protector becoming predator. The government which is supposed to protect people from suffering sometimes becomes the tormentor. On such occasions, the cry of the oppressed has been for freedom from suffering or for vindication of their rights. Everyone ought to have these rights and freedoms. They are fundamental to all human existence. In short, as rightly told by Dr. Patil, they are fundamental to all human existence. In short, these rights are inherent. That is, every human being has them without distinction by reason only of being human. Over the centuries, man has continuously striven to establish an environment in which every individual can live with human dignity. Every milestone in legal history, is it the Magna Carta, the French Declaration of Right of Man, and the American Bill of Rights. Certain events during the early half of the 20th century, especially the two world wars and atrocities perpetrated during that period, awoke the international community to the need for recognition of a system of rights and freedom which came to be known as human rights. These would make violation of such rights a matter of concern for everyone and not only for the people of the state concerned. For the first time in 1945, the Charter of the United Nations declared that one of its purposes was promoting and encouraging respect for human rights and for fundamental freedoms for all, without distinction as to race, sex, language or religion, and bound its member states to take action to achieve that purpose. In year 1948, the United Nations made an exhaustive catalogue of human rights and fundamental freedoms in the form of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Later in 1966, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights were adopted. India is party to all these international human rights instruments. By now, the quality of governance in any nation has come to be measured in terms of respect for human rights obtaining in their legal system. It was this issue of securing respect for human dignity that was at the core of opposing British Raj under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, who had a very strong conviction that worth of every individual as a human being should be recognized and respected. The country attained independence. These ideals, which imbued patriotic fervor in individuals, did find place in the Constitution. Having learned the importance of human rights, the Constitution makers provided a detailed list of fundamental rights in the Constitution. The Constitution of India, in its preamble, assures the dignity of individual and protects the dignity of individual by conferring fundamental rights, which are the basic human rights. The Constitution not only elaborates the basic man rights, it also secures them by extraordinary constitutional remedies. The Constitution also contains a catalogue of economic and social rights which, though not enforceable, are nevertheless fundamental in the governance of the country. A system committed to rule of law, as Honorable Justice has already said, we are now caught between rule of law and rule of politics. If the system committed to rule of law, such as ours, should play a proactive role and adopt a policy framework wherein human rights flourish and blossom. We can never think of life with human dignity without fulfilling the basic needs, basic requirements of common man. Every hungry man is to be fed, naked body to be clothed, the thirst of everyone to be quenched, and there should be a shelter for everyone to retire and rest with dignity. The mammoth task undertaken from the midnight movement of our trust with destiny, unfortunately, remains unfulfilled even after more than 6 decades of our independence and constitution. In India, we are striving to make basic needs like drinking water, food, shelter, employment and education legally enforceable. But friends, in the West, the concept of basic human needs developed much earlier than it did here, with governments there already in action on the lines of ensuring more advanced needs like security, insurance, foreign exchange, power, expansion, travel, and opportunity as basic human needs, and now they are the human rights in those West countries. Just compare the quality of life of our countrymen and the people in the West. Hence, the thrust of human rights in India is qualitatively much lower than that in advanced Western world. The needs of survival are focal points of human rights in India. But in the developed countries, basic human needs mean more exalted rights. This particularly indicates that there is a wide margin between the level of prosecution of human rights in our country and the West. We are struggling to cope up with most basic needs of our toiling millions as human rights, even in the wake of much acclaimed achievement as one of the fastest developing economies of the world. The country which is going to achieve after another 20 years to be a superpower. There appears to be something grossly missing in planning of the country, leading to this type of disparity in standard of living, reducing the quality of life of every one of us at all levels. Since the quality of life of common man is the lifeline of civilized society. Therefore, the great challenge before us today is to redefine the needs and thereby elevate the standard and quality of life of a common man. It is to be appreciated that the constitutionally entrenched rights are limitations on governmental power. The government is under duty not to violate them. Violation of such duty is the basis of action against the state. All this is necessary in order to protect the common man against the mighty state and its officials, who may behave like power-drunk creatures and trample upon the human rights of common man. The Protection of Human Rights Act 1993 was passed with a view to provide effective protection and promotion of human rights. The Act provides that human rights means the right relating to life, liberty, equality and dignity of individuals granted by the Constitution or embodied in the international covenants and enforceable by courts in India. The Act provides for National Human Rights Commission, State Rights Commission and the Human Rights Courts and their constitution, powers and procedure, etc. While establishment of human rights is mandatory, establishing of State Human Rights Commission is made discretionary. Very unfortunate. It is always fascinating to speak in terms of putting injunctions on the power of the state and maximum respect for the rights of the individual. However, one has to understand that the rights are to be subject to certain limitations if the system is to survive. Indiscriminate exercise of rights may endanger the societal interest. That is why limitations are also provided within the Constitution, which may be imposed on fundamental rights on the grounds such as law and order, public order, security of the state, unity and integrity of India. It is here the police come into picture. They are charged with the responsibility of protecting the individuals and the society by apprehending the culprits. Following the traditional criminal jurisprudence, we have adopted certain of the basic tenets such as the presumption of innocence till the guilt is proved. Let 1,000 culprits escape, but one innocent should not be punished. A whole lot of literature has developed against the use of force by police during investigation and interrogation. All this has put the police in a highly vulnerable position and has resulted in the real criminal escape. This august house, the assembly, the seminar, may kindly consider whether this is good for the society. Can we subscribe to a regime that secures human rights of criminals more effectively than the human rights of majority of law-abiding citizens, whose rights are violated by those criminals? What is the line that separates use of force from the third-degree methods? The plight of policemen is summarized like: the policeman is denounced by the public, policeman is criticized by the preacher, ridiculed in the movies, berated by the newspapers, unsupported by the prosecution officers and also judges, shunned by the respectable citizens. He is exposed to countless temptations and dangers, condemned when he enforces law, dismissed when he does not. He is expected to possess the qualification of a soldier, doctor, lawyer, diplomat, educator, with remuneration less than what he really deserves. We have to consider whether we have put the police on compliance mode or defensive mode vis-a-vis the human rights of accused persons, rendering them highly vulnerable. Have the police become soft targets of accusations of violation of human rights? We blame the police for not enforcing the law strictly, and we also blame the police for violation of human rights. The situation of hunting with the hound and running with the hare. Police has to respect human rights of every individual, and at the same time, it has to provide protection to masses against the criminals. The society has to survive, and every individual should be ready to risk his liberty when the situation demands. There are two statements of Benjamin Franklin which deserves serious consideration. Those willing to give up a little liberty for a little security deserves neither security nor liberty. Another very important statement of his: every precaution which is not absolutely necessary for the protection of innocence affords a dangerous lurking place to crime. What maxims of procedure can be more dangerous than those which put justice in opposition to itself and which establish a kind of incompatibility between its duties? The pendulum has swung to the opposite direction. With this ordinary or regular criminal jurisprudence, can we tackle the special crimes like terrorism, organized crimes, drug trafficking, gun running, land, mine, sand mafia? Special crimes need special and stringent laws. We all know, after the enactment of Patriot Act in the United States, all the terrorist activities have come to a halt in that country. Without such a law, India has become a pleasurable tourist destination for terrorists. The United States has worked out an effective model. Is it not necessary for us to consider enactment of a similar law in Indian conditions? Despite all good work police do, we know that all is not well with the police department. Undoubtedly, there are very good police personnel. As Justice Suraj Patil has already mentioned, including some of the very important personalities whose ideals, whose service was ideal to others. Undoubtedly, these good police personnel to be encouraged, and ensuring the safety of life and property of its citizens is one of the basic responsibilities of the government in all societies. It is by establishing and maintaining an efficient and an effective police force that government provides a feeling of security to its citizens. However, collective security enjoyed by the citizen is not enough. In a democratic society, they also want to enjoy their individual freedom and rights without unwarranted interference of police. And the role of police is to maintain the law and order in the country. in exercising proper control and superintendence over the police, holding them accountable for the various acts of commission and omission, and bringing them close to the community, therefore become issues of utmost importance in democratic country. Police work encompasses preventive and protective roles in the course of maintaining law and order. In addition, prevention and protection involve initiating programs to reduce caste and communal tensions, reduce opportunities to the criminal victimization, and educate the citizens about the crime prevention measures. Secondly, police work also involves many tasks that occur well beyond public notice and that are often time-consuming, overly routine, and excessively burdensome. Police have to play a vital role as protector of human rights, but from the experiences and cases illustrated in reports of National Human Rights Commission, it is found that there are a number of allegations of human rights violations leveled against the police. These are failure to register the complaints, conduct proper and effective investigation within the reasonable time, of course, inhuman treatment to the people when they approach police for protection of their rights, complaints pertaining to the indiscriminate arrest, illegal detention, custodial violence, torture, rapes, and deaths in custody, etc. And also the issues of overcrowding of jails, inhuman treatment of under trials, callous attitude towards accused are the subject of human rights concern needs to be addressed. The police brutalities like the Bhagalpur blinding, the infamous custodial gang rapes and custodial murders compelled the state to amend the laws. The higher judiciary pressed into service and the concept of personal liability also. Procedural forts were built to prevent police from custodial violence. There is another school of thought opposed to all these developments. Its protagonists argue that such requirements will put the police on defensive and they cannot discharge their responsibilities in the befitting manner, and the interest of the society will be a casualty. This House should ponder over these sensitive areas and evolve concepts which may be adopted by the governments. Further, the victims of police excesses are the downtrodden people, people in the slum, children, women, scheduled castes, tribes, poor. Hence, the police should give priority in protecting the rights of the vulnerable section of the society. The reasons behind this could be the stress and frustration in the job, complexity involved, and growing criminality, which are not analyzed, and that in turn result the gross violation of human rights. The people's expectations on police, as Justice has already mentioned, are very high in comparison with the government functionaries, and often the police are not able to come up to the people's expectation. We should work to ensure human rights violation-free zone through collaborative efforts to the police, and other stakeholders such as lawyers, human rights activists, and the non-governmental agencies. With all humility, it is imperative to mention here, though my esteemed friend Mr. Suresh Kumar has already mentioned about some of the initiatives we have taken. Let me tell you, friends, it was during that tenure of Congress-led coalition headed by Mr. Dharm Singh, the attitudinal change at the government level towards issue of human rights was achieved. Though Human Rights Act was enacted in 1993, till 2004-05, our state did not even constitute Human Rights Commission. We did not think of going further also. I was, in fact, fortunate to be the Minister for Law, Justice and Human Rights Department. First time in the state of Karnataka, a separate department for human rights was established. The new State Human Rights Commission came to be established. The district courts came to be designated as human rights courts, and relevant rules came to be framed for trial of offences involving violation of human rights. The government then had started keeping strides towards implementation of basic human rights such as food security, insurance and such other issues concerning the day-to-day human needs. But unfortunately, government did not last long. Friends, I'll be failing in my duty if I forget to mention that the idea of constitution of Human Rights Commission, the idea of framing the rules and a lot of detailed responsibilities that were told to the state government by no less than the today's guest, Sri Shivraji Patil. And we are all indebted to him. The state of Karnataka, if anybody has inspired us to constitute a Human Rights Commission, it is Justice Shivraj Patil. If Karnataka is first in framing the rules in the country, it is because of the advice, and I can also say that under the superintendence of Justice Shivraji Patil, we could do that. Friends, can you believe how our mentality, how we all are, whether people in governance, people, the judiciary or the officers, even after 15 years of Human Rights Act coming into force, in many states, State Human Rights Commission being framed, nowhere the human rights courts were established. In some of the states, in one of the states, such human rights courts were designated, but believe me, even after 15 years, no court started working because of lack of rules to be framed for those human rights, district human rights courts. This is how our seriousness is about human rights in India. It is pertinent not to mention to you here that first time in the country, the Karnataka Food Security Ordinance was promulgated to ensure guarantee of food for every person who is an individual with no earned income or other sources of living, or physically handicapped or mentally challenged person, or an aged or sickly person having no support of his family, or any other person or class of persons notified by the state government from time to time and imposed certain restrictions to prevent misuse of the program. However, the ordinance was allowed to lapse as the successor government has failed to enact law on food security. In fact, in the absence of Mr. Suresh Kumar, may I request him, and there are officers, government officers who are here to convey my request, and I also request the organizers of the seminar also to consider to take this request to him, since I believe that Suresh Kumar is a man of commitment and concern for the society, to kindly take steps for passing of appropriate law on the subject to ameliorate the conditions of the millions of persons who are beneficiaries under the said program, and to ensure guarantee of food, which is a basic human right, and enable them to secure it as a matter of right and not a charity. Further, we all know the witness plays a vital role in administration of justice, and many a time they are subjected to harassment. If we look at administration of justice, the witness is one of the very important player to find the truth, to arrive at justice. But unfortunately, the witness has to face undue threat and pressure, and they also lack proper security to their life and property. The police also needs to change their approach towards witness and instill confidence in them by providing security and dignity. Even when they come to court to give evidence, there is no proper place for them to wait till they get their turn, and they are hardly paid bhatta for attending the cases to give evidence. In fact, the department, even for that matter the judiciary, doesn't discriminate between the accused and the witness. The punishment-like thing, whatever in the system, happens to the accused as well the witness. Witness is never honored. His dignity is at stake. He is always in tension. Such things should come to an end. Here I call upon the judiciary also. I appeal to the judiciary to bestow its attention to these issues, to ameliorate their conditions and restore the dignity of the witness. Efforts were made in Karnataka at least to establish witness lounges. Friends, we all know, you have gone to courts. Perhaps for a judge, we have a beautiful restroom, antechamber, a good chamber. For lawyers, we have the bar room. What is there for witness? You want him to stand outside on the corridor. A person who is an important player to find the truth, a person who is ultimately one who is going to give his best to get a justice, he was treated in such a bad manner, and to take care of him, to provide him a sense of dignity and comfort, the Karnataka is the state which has thought of witness lounges, which is also the first in the country. I take this opportunity to compliment our present Law Minister, Sri Suresh Kumar, for his wholehearted support and continuation of most of the initiatives made during the preceding governments. The police have to play its pious role of protecting human rights by its proactive role in promoting and supporting all human rights oriented activities in our society. I trust that this seminar will ponder over some of these issues and evolve a framework for the police in stirring the destiny of the common man with trust of human rights. Police, I believe, also needs to be sensitized about its new role in cause of human rights in not only attending the human rights issues, but also to sensitize important players about the responsibilities in the cause of protection of human rights. But friends, it may not be out of place. Of course, Justice Shivraj Patil has already mentioned the senior officers should have been present. If such an academic excellent exercise is not observed by senior police officials, that shows the attitude of our senior police about the human rights. I wish that the government take note of this, and I also appeal to all the senior police officials that these things should not be just rituals. You must get enlightened. You must get your problem solved, sorted, some sort of a discussion about the problem what you are facing and what the people are expecting is to be brought to the floor, discussed and sorted out. There was an opportunity, our senior police officers have lost that. If we want to make our constitution, which is an embodiment of the catalogue of universally accepted human rights, to work to the full and effective extent, it is not an exaggeration to expect that all the concerned to play their pious role. I believe that this national seminar will check out new charter for the police in playing its catalyst role in making the dream of the common man in our country a reality in realizing their basic human rights. The need of the hour is to carve a caring system of governance which will govern with an aim to secure, preserve, protect and defend human rights of all sections of people, where the common man is perceived as sovereign and government machinery and its officials as his servants. Unless this happens, it will be our lot to lead our life at the mercy of the government as subjects with indignity instead of as citizens with dignity. I am really grateful to Dr. Prabhudev, the Vice Chancellor of the University, who is a proactive and reformist Vice Chancellor. More than he being educationist, I know him since he was in health sector. He was one of the most popular doctor. I know for certain how parental care he was taking of those patients in his hospital, particularly the poor patients. And I'm sure the blessings of all those is there for him, and that's why he is elevated to the post of Vice Chancellor and given an opportunity to do wonderful things. I also congratulate and thank the organizers for providing me this opportunity to participate and deliver the address in this valuable seminar. I once again thank you for your patient hearing.
Thank you very much, sir. I now request Professor Dr. T.R. Subramanian